The familiar illusion inside the strange science of déjà vu. You walk into a room you've never seen before. The light falls across the walls in a certain way. Someone laughs behind you. And suddenly, without warning, you feel it. I've been here before. The moment is sharp, almost electric. It doesn't last long, maybe a few seconds. But while it's happening, it feels undeniable, like reality has slipped just slightly out of place. This is déjà vu. The phrase comes from French, meaning already seen, and it describes a deeply human experience. The eerie sense that the present is somehow a memory. It's not rare. In fact, most people will feel it, at least once in their lives, often many times. Yet, despite its familiarity, déjà vu remains one of the mind's most fascinating mysteries. So what is it really? A glitch, a signal, or something stranger? The feeling that shouldn't exist. Déjà vu is more than just a passing thought. It carries a strange emotional weight. People often describe it as unsettling, even haunting, a moment where certainty and confusion collide. On one hand, your brain insists, this has happened before. On the other, logic pushes back, that's impossible. This conflict is at the heart of déjà vu. It's not simply remembering, it's misremembering, a powerful illusion created by the brain itself. And that illusion reveals something important. Memory is not as reliable as it feels. The brain's memory system, a delicate balance. To understand déjà vu, we have to understand how memory works. Your brain is constantly doing two things at once: recording new experiences, comparing them to past ones. These processes rely heavily on areas deep in the brain, especially the temporal lobe where memory is processed. Within this region, the hippocampus helps store the details of experiences, where they happened, when they occurred, and what they meant. But memory is not a single system, it's a partnership. When familiarity breaks away from memory. Inside the brain, two systems quietly work together: the rhinal cortex, which signals familiarity, the hippocampus, which provides context and detail. Normally, these systems are in sync. You recognize something and you know why. But during déjà vu, something slips. The rhinal cortex fires first, sending a strong signal. This feels familiar, but the hippocampus doesn't respond. No memory appears. No explanation follows. This creates a strange mental gap, a feeling without a source. Some scientists describe this as a kind of circuitry lag. One part of the brain speaks before the other catches up. Then another region steps in, the brain's internal fact-checker, the prefrontal cortex. Researchers like Akira O'Connor suggest this area detects the mismatch between what feels true and what actually is. That's why déjà vu doesn't just feel familiar, it feels off. Because part of your brain knows something isn't right. Theories behind the illusion. Scientists have proposed several explanations for why this happens. Each one offers a different glimpse into how the brain constructs reality. Memory mismatch. This is the most widely accepted explanation. Your brain encounters something that resembles a past experience, but not closely enough to consciously recall it. A layout, a sound, a feeling. The match is incomplete but strong enough to trigger familiarity. So your brain fills in the gap and the present feels like the past. Split perception, seeing twice. Another theory suggests that déjà vu comes from a tiny delay in perception. Your brain processes a scene once, briefly and unconsciously, and then again a moment later. The second time feels familiar because it is. You've already experienced it just milliseconds earlier. Neural misfires. In some cases, déjà vu may come from brief bursts of unusual activity in the brain. People with temporal lobe epilepsy, for example, often report intense déjà vu before a seizure begins. These episodes suggest that even a small misfiring in memory circuits can create a powerful illusion of familiarity. The geometry of memory. Sometimes déjà vu isn't triggered by a specific memory at all, but by structure. This idea is known as the Gestalt familiarity theory. Your brain doesn't just remember objects. It remembers patterns. Imagine walking into a cafe in a foreign city. The language is different. The decor is unfamiliar, but something feels known. Why? because the layout, the spacing, the angles, the flow of the room matches something stored in your memory. You don't recognize the place. You recognize the shape of the experience, the illusion of predicting the future. During déjà vu, many people feel something even stranger. They feel like they know what will happen next. A sentence seems predictable. A moment feels pre-written. For centuries, this has led people to believe that déjà vu might be a kind of psychic ability, but research suggests otherwise. Psychologist Anne Cleary studied this using virtual reality. When participants experienced déjà vu, they were asked to predict what would happen next. They felt confident, but they were no more accurate than random guessing. The prediction wasn't real. It was just the brain turning up the feeling of familiarity so strongly that it felt like certainty. Real cases that blur the line. While most déjà vu is harmless and brief, there are rare cases where it becomes much stronger. One man began experiencing constant déjà vu after recovering from illness. Everyday events, conversations, news, even simple routines felt like repeats. He stopped watching television, stopped reading. Why experience something again, he thought, if he had already lived it? Doctors later linked his condition to anxiety and disruptions in memory processing. Clinically, this extreme condition is closer to déjà vécu, meaning already lived, a rare state where the feeling of familiarity becomes a belief. In another case, certain medications triggered repeated déjà vu episodes in an otherwise healthy person. Researchers suspect that changes in dopamine, a brain chemical tied to reward and significance, may play a role. When dopamine levels shift, even ordinary moments can feel unusually meaningful or strangely familiar, as if the brain is assigning importance where there is none. When the familiar becomes strange, déjà vu has an opposite. It's called jamais vu, never seen. This is when something familiar suddenly feels unfamiliar. A word looks strange. A place feels new. Reality itself seems briefly distorted. There are other related experiences too. Presque vu, the tip of the tongue feeling. Déjà entendu, the sense of having already heard something. Together, these experiences are known as paramnesia, distortions of memory and recognition. They reveal something profound. Memory is not a perfect recording. It's a system, and sometimes it slips. Why it happens more when you're young. Déjà vu is most common between the ages of 15 and 25. Younger brains are more active in forming new memories and more sensitive to new environments, stress, and fatigue. All of these increase the chances of small mismatches in memory processing, the perfect conditions for déjà vu. Stress, fatigue, and the brain under pressure. Have you ever noticed déjà vu happening when you're tired? That's not a coincidence. Fatigue and stress can disrupt the brain's normal processing, making it easier for signals to get mixed up. When the system that separates new from familiar becomes less precise, the illusion slips through. In a way, déjà vu might be your brain saying, "I'm working, just not perfectly right now." What déjà vu teaches us. At first glance, déjà vu feels like a mistake, but it may be something more. Some scientists believe it's a kind of internal check, a moment when the brain compares reality with memory and briefly detects a mismatch, a quiet signal that says, something doesn't add up. In that sense, déjà vu isn't just a glitch. It's a glimpse into the hidden machinery of thought, a quiet mystery that stays with us. Even with everything we've learned, déjà vu isn't fully explained, and maybe that's part of its power. It reminds us that memory is not perfect. Perception is not fixed. Reality is something the brain builds moment by moment. For a few seconds, the present feels like the past. Time folds in on itself, and we're left standing in that strange space between knowing and not knowing. Then, just as quickly, it's gone. But the feeling lingers. Have I been here before? And somewhere deep in the mind, the question remains, unanswered but unforgettable.
It's time to study new words in context. 1. Eerie. Definition: strange and a little scary in a quiet way. Example: the empty house had an eerie silence at night. 2. Fascinating. Definition: Very interesting and making you want to learn more. Example: space travel is fascinating to many people. 3. Glitch. Definition: a small problem or mistake in a system. Example: my computer stopped because of a small glitch. 4. Unsettling. Definition: making you feel nervous or uncomfortable. Example: the strange noise in the dark was unsettling. 5. Haunting. Definition: staying in your mind for a long time, often in a sad or mysterious way. Example: the movie had a haunting ending that I could not forget. 6. Temporal lobe. Definition: a part of the brain that helps with memory, hearing, and understanding language. Example: the temporal lobe helps people remember sounds and experiences. 7. Hippocampus. Definition: a part of the brain that helps create and store memories. Example: the hippocampus is important for learning new things. 8. Rhinal cortex. Definition: a part of the brain that helps recognize familiar things. Example: the rhinal cortex helps you feel that a place looks familiar. 9. Sync. Definition: working together at the same time and in the same way. Example: the dancers moved in sync with the music. 10. Circuitry lag. Definition: a small delay in the brain's signals or systems. Example: scientists think déjà vu may come from a circuitry lag in the brain. 11. Prefrontal cortex. Definition: the front part of the brain that helps with thinking, planning, and decision-making. Example: the prefrontal cortex helps people solve problems. 12. Feels off. Definition: seems strange, wrong, or not normal. Example: something about the story feels off to me. 13. Neural misfires. Definition: mistakes in the brain's electrical signals. Example: doctors believe neural misfires can sometimes cause déjà vu. 14. Epilepsy. Definition: a brain condition that can cause seizures. Example: some people with epilepsy need medicine every day. 15. Gestalt. Definition: the whole shape or pattern of something, not just the small parts. Example: the brain sometimes remembers the gestalt of a room instead of its details. 16. Decor. Definition: the style and decoration inside a room or building. Example: the cafe had modern decor with bright colors. 17. Psychic. Definition: connected to the claimed ability to know things without normal senses. Example: some people believe psychic powers can predict the future. 18. Virtual reality. Definition: a computer-made world that feels real to the user. Example: the students explored ancient cities through virtual reality. 19. Blur. Definition: to make something unclear or difficult to see or understand. Example: heavy rain can blur your vision while driving. 20. Dopamine. Definition: a chemical in the brain linked to pleasure, motivation, and reward. Example: winning a game can increase dopamine in the brain. 21. Distorted. Definition: changed so it seems unclear, strange, or incorrect. Example: the old radio made the music sound distorted. 22. Presque vu. Definition: the feeling that you almost remember or understand something but cannot fully reach it. Example: I had a presque vu moment when I almost remembered her name. 23. Déjà entendu. Definition: the feeling that you have heard something before. Example: the song gave me déjà entendu even though it was new. 24. Paramnesia. Definition: a mistake or confusion in memory. Example: déjà vu is a type of paramnesia. 25. Add up. Definition: to make sense or seem correct. Example: his excuse did not add up.
Comprehension questions. 1. What is déjà vu? Answer: déjà vu is the strange feeling that a new moment has happened before. 2. Why does déjà vu feel confusing? Answer: it feels confusing because the brain says the moment is familiar, but logic says it is new. 3. What does the hippocampus do? Answer: the hippocampus helps create and store memories. 4. What is the job of the rhinal cortex? Answer: the rhinal cortex helps the brain recognize familiar things. 5. What happens during a circuitry lag? Answer: one part of the brain reacts before another part catches up. 6. Why does déjà vu sometimes feel off? Answer: it feels off because the brain notices a mismatch between memory and reality. 7. What is the memory mismatch theory? Answer: it is the idea that the brain mistakes a new experience for an old memory. 8. What does the split perception theory explain? Answer: it explains that the brain may process the same moment twice very quickly. 9. How can epilepsy be connected to déjà vu? Answer: small unusual brain signals in epilepsy can create strong feelings of familiarity. 10. What is the Gestalt familiarity theory? Answer: it is the idea that the brain recognizes patterns or layouts instead of exact details. 11. Why can a new place sometimes feel familiar? Answer: a new place may have a similar shape or layout to a place stored in memory. 12. Did scientists find proof that déjà vu predicts the future? Answer: no, scientists found that people could not predict events better than chance. 13. What is dopamine? Answer: dopamine is a brain chemical connected to pleasure, reward, and motivation. 14. What is jamais vu? Answer: déjà vu is when something familiar suddenly feels strange or unfamiliar. 15. What does the article teach us about memory? Answer: the article teaches that memory is not perfect, and the brain can sometimes make mistakes.